Hi guys, welcome to another Learn Electronics Repair video. I have here quite an old Lenovo Thinkpad, or it looks quite old. This belongs to a local shop, and I think he says it has a lot of information on it that he needs, and as I recall he said that it doesn't boot up. So he'd like this fixed, or at least he needs his data from it, I believe. So let's see what we can do with it. I'll just connect his power supply to this and find out where it goes. Yeah, it goes in on the back. A little bit different, but there we go. And we'll plug it in. So this is his power supply. Yeah, let's see. Well, I don't know if the power supply is working or not. Yeah, it's powering up. So we have some green lights on it. The battery light is flashing. Thinkpad. So we get that. And this might be all that we get on this. This might be what the problem is. So the first thing comes to mind is a problem with the hard drive and nothing more than that. But I don't know. Seems to be just stuck. Can I get into the BIOS screen? That's a good question. I'm not even sure how you would get into the BIOS on this. Maybe it's one of the function keys, F1 or F2. Let's have a look. Oh, it bleeped and went off. That was after I pressed the button though. Maybe that was something to do with it. Let's press the button again. And now let's try F2. No. To interrupt normal startup, press the blue Think Vantage button. Okay. What's that do? Was it a short press? Is it a long press? Okay. I'm doing this. I'm pressing the button. No, that doesn't appear to do anything. I think the first thing with this is for me to actually RTFM, read the FE manual and find out how we're supposed to get into the BIOS. Okay, well, it suggests that I either repeatedly tap this Think Vantage button or the same with F1. So let's try it. Well, repeatedly pressing that didn't seem to have any effect. Let's go again. Okay, let's try it with F1. No, it does not appear to go into the BIOS. We can try this Think Vantage button again. Okay, once more. No. So what we have is a laptop that doesn't want to boot up and doesn't want to go into the BIOS. Okay, I think the first thing then is let's remove the hard drive or anything else that might be plugged into it. Okay. Power off. I've noticed there's something here. Oh, yeah, that's empty though. So we won't worry too much about that. There's a USB thing here which is possibly just a Wi-Fi, but we can take that out. And then otherwise I guess we have to open something up here to get to the hard drive. Okay, let's try it without that little USB device just in case. Let's plug it in again. Now I have much the same thing happening. No sign of a BIOS screen. Let's try again with this one. No. Okay, so that didn't help. Let's try getting to the hard drive. Oh, well, I can see the corner of the... no, that might be the corner of the optical drive, actually, not the hard drive. There's no like separate cover to get to the hard drive, so it looks like I'm going to have to take the entire back off this. So I'll just get on there and unscrew some screws, yeah? Okay, to remove the hard drive, it looks like I may just have to actually unscrew this one. And possibly that one next to it as well. Let's just put that somewhere safe. And this one, yeah, I've already loosened that one. And this little cover, yeah, this little cover comes off. And then, yeah, there we have it. So there's the hard disk. So this has a 256 gig SSD in there. So let's see now if this will boot up or let us into the BIOS without the hard drive fitted. Once again, we'll put some power into the back of it. Yeah, power's on. Green lights on. And let's see what it does now. I mean, I would think that without the hard drive fitted, it would probably go into the BIOS anyway, or say something like no boot device. Or maybe, in fact, it just hangs there the same as before. Just give it a few minutes and let's see if it actually just goes into the BIOS on its own. If not, we'll try some buttons. Oh, it's not doing much, is it? Doesn't seem to help. Doesn't seem to help. Off. I'll try the various methods of tapping various buttons and see if I can actually get in there. No, I can't get into the BIOS. And I'm thinking maybe the keyboard isn't working as one possibility. So I tried to plug in a USB keyboard and it felt very sloppy going to the sockets. So I had a look then at the USB sockets, and I'll just zoom down. I'll show you what I can see. So these are the USB sockets, and they're not looking particularly clever to me. This might be why it's hanging up in the BIOS. I think what I need to do with this is to take it apart to disconnect the USB from the motherboard if they're on the cable, or otherwise fix this little problem. And then let's see if we can get into the BIOS after that. It's coming apart nicely. I have the palm rest off. They have these funny little connectors, a little bit unusual, but it looks like the keyboard cable is at least attached. I don't think it's actually, you know, something stupid like it's not plugged in or something like that. See if I can just persuade this thing to actually lift up off here. It's a little bit stiff. See if I'm like, yeah, it has like a little tab here that you pull on. A strange connector, but fair enough. I'm sure it actually is okay. Maybe I can zoom right down on it. Yeah, it looks alright. This is just obviously a little handle for grabbing to actually prise it off. There's no tracks going into there by the looks of it. They all go this way. So we have that off. I think the best thing with this is going to be to get the board out on the bench. We can connect it to an external monitor, and then let's see if we can sort out the problem with these USB ports, and maybe then it will boot up. That took quite some effort actually to remove this PCB from here. And the whole box full of stuff here has came out of it. I mean, you know. I took a few photos on the way along. That's the only way to do this really, in any hope of putting everything back where it came from. So we have that. We have a couple of problems I noticed. So one is these USB ports, which I think we had a very good look at before. Yeah, that problem. So that's one thing we need to sort out. It looks like at least one of these might be shorting in here to the metalwork. That might well be a problem. So we need to replace those two. I think I might have some suitable, otherwise I'll have to order some. And the other problem is this. Now this might have been there all along, or this might have happened when I took it apart, and to show you I need to get the focus back, of course. The other problem I found was this. So this cable supposed to go onto here. We can see which way round it goes because where the glue's broken. This might have happened when I took it apart because it was in a rather awkward place while I was trying to get the back off, or it may already have been broken, I'm not sure. It goes, looks like, to another USB, and on here is some sort of a switch that is something to do with when the lid is opened or closed, I think. So we need to repair that as well. So we have those two problems. First of all, let's see if we've got any suitable USB ports. Oh, I don't have the correct ones in stock, but I'm thinking I might as well remove these anyway because it's fairly obvious. I think at least one or two of the pins are short into the case, and if I remove them, at least I can see then if it will actually boot past the BIOS. If it does, then it's worthwhile trying to find some replacements. So I'll get these removed, and I'll also fix that broken cable as well, which may or may not have happened when I was taking this apart, and then we can see if we get into the BIOS or not. Looking at these, I mean, there's a lot of plastic around here. I know this withstands a fair bit of heat. I think the best bet with these is going to be to actually desolder them from underneath. So if I get some leaded solder onto the various pins and then find something to clamp this in, probably in my vise, I can probably heat this from underneath and then literally pull these downwards and off the board that way, and I think that's probably going to be the best way to do it rather than trying to do it from this side. So I guess best ideas are worth trying, so let's give it a go and see if it actually works. I've removed the CPU before I do this. This is the lid off an old satellite receiver, so I'm going to put the board upside down on here. I can have it overhanging the end so I can get plenty of heat into this side, and then I'll put a bit of leaded solder on the pins of this, trying to bridge them all together first, then heat from the top and literally try to pull these out from the bottom. I'll take a bit of flux first, it always helps with this sort of thing, and we can put that. I think this little pin here is actually one that also comes through from the side of the socket, from the actual bracket on the back of it. So we've got that. A bit of solder. It'll probably help if I just warm the area up a little bit first before I try to apply some leaded solder, so we can just give this a warm. Just choose a higher temperature. Oh, that's it. So let's just give this a good warm up first. Okay, now I can add a bit of solder to that. See if we can get enough to actually bridge across the various pins, if it will. Yeah, I'm getting some solder on. I was hoping to get like a sort of a solder bridge across the pins, which it's not doing. Let's give it a little bit more of a warmth from the hot air. Then we can try that again. If I get solder to bridge across the pins, it'll make it easier for me to remove this, I'm sure. Okay. Let's have another go. Again, I'm not really getting it to bridge across the pins, which is what I wanted to do. Oh, it's kind of partially got it. Try this one. Okay, getting somewhere. Now let's see if we can warm this enough to actually remove the sockets from the other side. Okay, so come at it left-handed this time. Might take a little while. I have a little ball of solder that's standing on over there, so just remove that so it doesn't short something out. Have the hot air on 450 on the quick 861DW. And I can see that the solder is actually melting now, the leaded solder. Yeah, this is coming. One side's off though, I just need to get the other side, the little metal thing. There, yeah. Okay. I think that was probably the best way to do that. So the thing comes off in one piece. I'm not sure if it is one thing or whether it's effectively just stuck together. Let it cool down and then we'll see. In the meantime, while the board itself is hot, let's clean up the excess solder. It's going to be easier to do this while it's hot. Okay. I would have been better getting my vacuum desoldering tool hot as well, actually. I'll try and get that warmed up. I'll probably have to rewarm this a little bit by the time that's warmed up. Then hopefully I can suck out the solder as well to make it easier when we come to replace this. I'll just give it a little gentle bit of warmth just to keep it interested here. Okay. I think to clean these holes out it's probably going to be better to add some leaded solder. I can see one of them's actually clean anyway, but we'll just leaded solder on there, leaded solder on there, and then just wait a moment while the vacuum desoldering tool warms up. Okay, that's up to temperature now. We'll give it a quick clean with the one of these things. Just there we go. You see it's blocked a little bit there, yeah. So just need to go a little bit there. It's past that now. Yeah, it's going now. Okay. Yep, got good airflow. So swap hands, and we'll do the same. So we'll warm it up, and when I see the solder's melted, I'll try and remove it with this. It would have been better to get this hot in the first place, to be honest. With hindsight, yeah. With hindsight, it's always better. Okay, let's just get this solder fairly liquid, then we'll see if we can do it. Yeah, look at that. Look at that, guys. Yep, that's the way to do it. Okay, guys, this is cooling down. Now it's a little bit warm, but it's not so hot now. So yeah, I'm sure you can see that those holes have come through quite cleanly. If we just get the torch, you can see. So we'll put the torch underneath these. Can you see them? Yeah, I'm fairly sure you can see that the light's coming through them. Yeah, yeah. So that's good. If we can get a suitable replacement, easy enough to fit. So while that's finishing cooling off, let's have a look at this. So this is the little circuit board. and this is where this cable has come off. So this goes effectively, you can see it goes this way because it's broken away from the glue. So I need to reattach this. I'm not quite sure exactly what it's for, but I'm sure it's necessary. So we'll see if we can get this glue off here with like a Stanley knife or something. I'm not sure I have anything that would actually dissolve it, which would be nice. Maybe acetone or something, but I don't have anything like that. And this appears to be just another USB, and there's little switches. I'm sure this switch does something, so you'll have to just fix this. Also, if this USB is working, I can use an external keyboard to see if I can get into the BIOS, just in case we have effectively a faulty built-in keyboard, and that's why I'm not getting to the BIOS screen. So we'll get a bit of stuff off here. Okay, let's come off, and then we need to get this glue off this. I think let's see what we can do with the Stanley knife blade. Otherwise I have to get some little craft knives or something. It comes in from this side. Just remind us so we know that the red goes at this end. Yeah, so I don't have a red pen, but basically this end is where the red wire goes. Yeah, like so. Right, let's see if we can get this guns off this without removing any flesh. Yeah, without removing any flesh. Otherwise I have to find a proper knife. Yeah, this stuff's really hard. This is not going to come off easily. I'll have a look under the microscope and see if I can figure out how to remove it. Yeah, this stuff is like epoxy resin. It's very, very hard. It doesn't come off easily. It's very hard stuff. Maybe if I warm it up with the hot air, I might be able to get this to just peel away. Otherwise, I might have to use, like, I'm not sure, the Dremel and kind of try and sand it off. I'm not really sure, because obviously I need to get to these connections under here without actually damaging the board. This is not going to easily come off there. Let me see what I can do with it. That seemed to do the trick. I couldn't do it on camera. I had to hold it in my vise, which is clamped to the edge of the bench basically, and then heat it up with hot air, and then it kind of like peeled away and peeled back. I mean, it's still quite hot. There's still some left on here which is kind of hardened again, but that's how it came off. But I might be able now to use a soldering iron and actually clean this up. Otherwise I'll have to warm it again. Well, let's have a look. So we'll put a bit more. We'll put a bit of flux on this. So a bit of flux on there, and let's see if this will actually now come nice and clean. Yeah, it's not too hot to hold now actually. We get a bit of solder, and I'll do it looking down the microscope because it's easier for me. Okay, so still rather warm. Yeah, that's looking not bad. It's just getting some solder bridges, but that's not going to be anything of a problem. In fact, getting solder on it's fine, doesn't really matter. Doesn't matter if we get it everywhere, we can use a bit of a braid and clean that off afterwards. Okay, let's have a solder braid. There we go. I mean, I don't know whether I've done this the easiest way, but it seems at least to be a successful way. Yeah, it's really clean. At the end. Yeah. Well, I'm happy with the result, even if it wasn't the best technique. So anybody suggests a better way to do it, but yeah, let us know. But that certainly works. That's all cleaned up. Now we need to sort out the cable. So this has a lot of the same stuff on it, and I don't imagine there's much room in this cable. You know, if I was to just cut off the end. I don't think I can really do that. I think I need to actually see if I can actually remove this stuff from here. This might be more difficult than that was actually, because obviously you're going to melt the wires as well. You get too much heat into it. Does this want to come off? I suppose if we separate the wires out, we might actually get somewhere. Try a bit of heat on that, which I can't do under the microscope. I can't get it high enough up, but let me see if I can do it with a bit of heat. Yeah, I think if I get much heat into this, this is not going to end well. I can just try warm it up a little bit. I don't think this will work too well, to be honest. Let's try. No, this is not looking too clever. Well, let me try find another way. Well, in the end, the technique that seemed to work best was just to pick it apart with my fingers. I'll now complain whoever told me I need to cut my fingernails on the last video, because longer fingernails would have definitely been better here. But anyway, that's what I've done. I've managed to separate it out. The glue caused some of the wires, like this orange and green, to strip a little bit further back than I wanted, but all I can really do now is solder this back on and hope that it's long enough, and then put some more epoxy resin on to hold it in place. So I'll just have to get on with that then, yeah. I took a photograph so I know what order the wires go back on. And what I didn't do is effectively figure out if the reds are both connected to each other and the blacks are. So we'll just have to hope that the two reds effectively are in parallel, and it doesn't matter which one I connect where. I think the best thing to do with this is to effectively trim back the insulation so they're both the same length. Oops. And then just solder them on and gradually work my way across this, attaching all the wires. So we can do it like that and then just work our way along, I think. And hopefully we'll have a workable connector. I mean, as long as I effectively position the wires apart that shouldn't be touching, and make sure the epoxy resin also goes in between, that will help as well. So let's get on and get this done. I've trimmed them to roughly the same length, but the green and orange are definitely shorter than the others. So we'll just have to see if we can solder this on, otherwise we need a new cable. But it's got to be worth a try. So I think the best bet is just to start from one end. We'll attach the wire and then we'll work our way towards this end. This is going to be extremely fiddly. Oh, in fact, while I'm at it, I've just noticed that there's a this here is a little stray bit of wire. We need to get rid of that. Okay, a little bit of fresh flux, I think. Okay, and then just a bit of patience, guys. Just a bit of patience. Just start at one end and work across until it either works or it doesn't. Yeah, I also get a bit of fresh solder on, I think, as well while I'm doing it. Just a bit of fresh solder on each pad. Then I don't need to apply solder as I apply each wire. I should be able to touch it, and it should hopefully merge with the solder that's already on the wire. Okay, let's give it a go. So here's the first one. I'll probably need to find some way to hold this still as well. It's all sliding around, which doesn't help. Let's see if we can do something. Otherwise I have to find some way to hold this as well. Let's see. Well, there's the first one on. We got one on. So we get the second one as well. See if we actually do it. No, slipping. Okay, I have to find some way to hold this still. Okay guys, you can see it wasn't that difficult to do. It was a little bit fiddly, but it wasn't difficult. You could use, as you saw, I was using the tweezers to form the wire into the position I wanted, and then just touch the pad where there was only some solder. There was only one case I had to add a little bit more solder, and that's it. Also, I'm sure you notice I'm working with this BC3 tip. Now, I'm kind of using it like in this direction. I find this a very, very useful tip. You probably say I use it almost all the time. And the reason I'm using such a chunky tip is because I can get a lot of heat in very quickly into the joint. So it sort of solders it before this wire can melt further back very much. So that looks good. I'll now take epoxy resin, the 2-part resin, and seal this back on. And the resin itself should also help to hold the wires in place and prevent any of them shorting against each other if I move it a little bit. So, well, just before I do that, let's just check to make sure they're all soldered down, and then I'll glue it down as well. So to do this, I'm just going to literally just touch them with a tweezer just to make sure that they're actually solid. Yeah, that's good. That's good. That one's good. Yeah, they all look good. They all look good. I don't see any likelihood that any of them are going to short each other either. Okay, so I'll clean this up with a little bit of isopropyl, and then we'll use 2-part epoxy. I'll put it on, then I'll obviously have to leave it a while for that to set. And then we should be able to test this and see whether or not it's actually working now. Okay, so that's cleaned up. I'm fairly confident the glue will hold that in place nicely. I'd be interested to know if you guys have got any other suggested techniques rather than the one I use. I know we all have our own different ways, and I'm interested to see how you guys would have tackled that, if there's a better way than I did it. Okay, let's put some glue on it. So here we have this stuff, super tight. Comes as a 2-part adhesive. This is what you want to use for this. In the UK we had Araldite, which is basically the same thing really, and I'm sure there's other brands as well. Yeah, other brands are available. So I'll just mix a bit of stuff up, and then we can do this. Okay, so I'll just literally drip some of this onto the top of here. A little bit more maybe. There we go. And this should not only hold the cable in place, but hopefully also prevent any short circuits forming. Okay guys, wait till that dries out and then we can put this back together enough to test to see if we can actually get into the BIOS now. I've attached this back together. This is the little cable that has kind of fell off. I've just put the keyboard back on, so I've got the power switch, and I've connected the internal screen again, so I can just attach some power to this. There we go. I have something balanced under here just to stop it shorting against anything. I think that all looks good. So we'll switch this on and let's see what it actually does. See if we get into the BIOS now. So power's on. Yeah, it's powering up. We have the ThinkPad screen. Ah, that's gone away now. Is this going to give us a BIOS screen? Ah, it's saying fan error in the top corner. So let's connect the fan and the heatsink. Okay, let's try it again. So the fan's attached now. The fan's spinning. Let's see if we get anything on the screen this time. ThinkPad again, we have that. Do we get to the BIOS? Well, the fan stopped. Right, okay, yeah, it's now saying it's looking for a boot device. This one looks like it's basically fixed then. It looks like those short circuits in the USB ports were stopping it booting up. I don't want to boot it into Windows from the hard drive because I don't have the heatsinks attached to it, but quite clearly it is powering up now. The fan runs for a little while and then we do actually get past the BIOS screen and it's asking for a boot device. There you can see it, yeah. So we've definitely got it running. What I'll do with this now is try to find the correct USB ports and then put it all back together, and I'm pretty sure this will run. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed that one. It was a bit of a surprising one to me. I didn't expect that to be the actual cause of the fault, but quite clearly it was the cause of the fault. So I've learnt something. I hope you've learnt something as well, and I'll see you all soon on another Learn Electronics Repair video. Ciao for now guys.